What does it mean when we call something Kafkaesque? The term has woven itself into everyday language, often used to describe frustrating encounters with bureaucracy, endless paperwork, and situations where logic seems to vanish. But does waiting in a long line at the DMV or struggling with confusing forms truly capture the essence of what is Kafkaesque? To answer that, we need to look beyond mere inconvenience and delve into the world created by Franz Kafka, the writer whose name has become synonymous with a particular kind of nightmarish absurdity. Franz Kafka was a German-speaking Bohemian writer who lived in the early 20th century. His works, including The Trial, The Metamorphosis, and The Castle, present worlds that are both familiar and deeply unsettling. In Kafka's stories, characters often find themselves trapped in surreal, illogical situations, facing systems or authorities that are both all-powerful and completely indifferent to their plight. The world is not just confusing, it is actively hostile to understanding, and the rules that govern it are impossible to grasp. One of the most famous examples comes from Kafka's novel, The Trial. The protagonist, Joseph K., wakes up one morning to find himself under arrest for a crime that is never explained. He is thrust into a labyrinthine legal system where every attempt to seek clarity only leads to more confusion. The officials he encounters are either unhelpful or outright nonsensical, and the process itself seems designed to frustrate rather than resolve. Joseph K. becomes lost in a world where guilt and innocence are meaningless, and the machinery of justice grinds on without reason or mercy. So, what makes these situations truly Kafkaesque? It's not just that they are bewildering or frustrating, it's that they are marked by a sense of helplessness in the face of an opaque and impersonal authority. The rules are unknowable, the logic is circular, and the individual is powerless to change their fate. There is an underlying sense of existential dread, a feeling that the universe itself is indifferent, or perhaps even malicious, in its refusal to make sense. Another key aspect of the Kafkaesque is the blending of the ordinary and the surreal. Kafka's characters often begin in mundane settings, a bedroom, an office, a city street, but quickly find themselves in situations that defy the laws of reality. In The Metamorphosis, for instance, Gregor Samsa wakes up to discover he has turned into a giant insect. His family's reaction is not one of horror or disbelief, but rather a resigned acceptance, as if such things are just another part of daily life. The absurd becomes normal, and the normal becomes absurd. This mixture of the familiar and the bizarre is what gives Kafka's work its unique power. The reader is never sure where the line between reality and nightmare lies. The world is recognizable, but its rules have changed, and the change is both subtle and total. It's a world where meaning slips away just as you think you've grasped it. In popular culture, the term Kafkaesque is sometimes used too loosely, applied to any situation that is annoying or overly complicated. But true Kafkaesque scenarios go deeper. They evoke a sense of being caught in a system that is both all-encompassing and utterly incomprehensible, where every attempt to assert control or find meaning is doomed to fail. It's not just about red tape or bureaucracy. It's about the profound alienation and anxiety that arise when the world refuses to make sense, and when power is both absolute and arbitrary. Kafka's stories resonate because they tap into a universal fear, the fear of being lost in a world that is indifferent to our struggles, where our efforts to understand or change our circumstances only lead us deeper into confusion. It's the fear that the systems we create, governments, corporations, legal codes, can take on a life of their own, becoming forces that shape our lives in ways we cannot predict or control. So, the next time you find yourself in a frustrating situation, ask yourself, is this truly Kafkaesque, or is it just inconvenient? True Kafkaesque experiences are not just about obstacles or inefficiency. They are about the existential terror of being trapped in a world that is both familiar and utterly alien, where the search for meaning leads only to more questions, and where the individual is powerless against the faceless forces that govern their fate. In the end, what makes something Kafkaesque is not just its absurdity or complexity, but the way it reflects our deepest anxieties about authority, meaning, and the limits of human understanding. Kafka's work endures because it captures the unsettling feeling that, sometimes, the world itself is the ultimate enigma, one that we may never fully comprehend.